The worst thing about creating content is it takes fucking ages, but it doesn't actually have to. If you use this planning process that I'm about to show you, I guarantee that you'll be able to get at least 20 videos out every single month while still having the same amount of time to run your business and actually have your weekends off. If you've clicked on this video, you're not stupid. You know the content's incredibly powerful. I've had clients go from minimal bookings to being completely booked out for the next 3 months simply by creating good, relevant and consistent content and putting it out on their socials. But that's the key thing. You can't put out 3 videos and expect to 10x your sales. No matter how viral they go, it's all about consistency, and that's exactly what this plan gives you. I'm also not going to sit here like everyone else and try and crack that it'll only take you like 2 minutes a day or something. This is legit. And if you're creating content yourself, I want you to be aware that it is going to take some work. But the idea of having this process is to build it into your monthly, weekly and daily schedules and life so that you can get content out and get in front of your audience all the time. So enough shite, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to say is that with this sort of approach, you'll really need to change and shift your mindset from creating a video and just posting it because it's done to really thinking ahead and having a long-term outlook. This sort of thinking and mindset shift is really what it's going to take to get more clients and really grow your business. By this I mean, instead of sitting down and filming when you fancy, you're going to batch create your content by planning a number of weeks in advance before the content actually goes out. Now this does seem drastic at first, but doing this guarantees you real consistency without the need to set an entire day to create content that you'll probably end up procrastinating, put on the back burner and never actually get done. So we're going to be planning out our content for May in this example, as you can see here. So start by looking at the days and times of the week that your current followers are most active on your chosen platform, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. And then you're going to schedule this into the calendar here. You can use Google Calendar or just write it down on a physical calendar, literally whatever's easiest for you. Don't worry about what the actual content is yet here, just know that something's going out on that day. Now we'll look at this whole process and go back to the second week of April, which is where we're at now. Now if you're seeing this and thinking about skipping off as you think it's too much effort to plan this much in advance, then that's alright. This is exactly what I mean by the long-term thinking that you need to crush your competition and fucking skyrocket your sales through content. So if you don't like the sound of this, that's alright. Either forget about trying to create content consistently or get someone else to do this all for you. Right, now you've got that, the first week will focus on coming up with what your content's going to be about. This will literally take you an hour max in total, but it's best if you can split this across the entire week because ideas will probably come to you across that week the more you think about it. So there are a load of different ways you can come up with ideas, but I find this template really, really useful, both for myself and my clients. So the first thing I want to mention before we get into this is that a lot of businesses think that content is just posting about their products and services and how they can help their person. That's not what we're going to come up with here. We're going to focus on creating real value for the people that see our videos in order to get them to follow us and nurture them over time with different solutions, support, so that they feel that they're actually building a relationship with us and know us, and then nurture them into buying our product or service, not just throw out promotional ad content. If you're getting really, really low engagement, just have a look at your content because that's probably what you're doing. Just throwing out things about how good your product is or how good your service is and how people all need to come to you and things like that. That's not what people want to see anymore. There is a time and a place on it. If you're pushing a certain campaign or you're actually running ads, of course it's useful for that. But in terms of your actually day-to-day content, you need to be getting people invested into you and your product and why you're helpful to them on a day-to-day basis. As I say, the key is to provide value to your target audience to help them and build relationship with them, so it's piss easy for you to actually convert them into customers in the long run. So yeah, let's look at the ideation template here. So let's just say you have your overall business. You've got your product or service number 1, product or service number 2, and product or service number 3. So for each of these, you want to make subtitles which are pain point, fears, and post-purchase. So for pain point, we're talking about what problem does your customer have that your product or service solves. And then secondly is fears. So what's holding them back from maybe buying into your product or service? And then third, post-purchase. So once they buy from you, what questions might they have about their product and things like that. So as I say, your answer to each of their pain points and fears and post-purchase things here aren't just going to be to buy your product or service. It's going to be what can they actually do with the information you give them from your video. It's really good to have 2 to 3 solutions for each pain point. As well as these service and product pieces, you can also look at personal and general business stories. So elements of your business, your personal story, because people buy from people. They don't just buy from arbitrary businesses. So what people should expect when they work with you maybe at different stages or or stories from your work in the past, or even anything that's coming into your head on that day. So let's apply this to a real company. So a plasterer, for example, his main services are internal skimming, external rendering, and patch repair. So if we zoom into internal skimming, we've got a couple of examples here. Obviously this template will depend on you and your business and its offering, but using this template or an adapted version for your business will give you unlimited ideas, genuinely. So think back to the actual experiences that you've had with your customers and the questions or concerns you always hear throughout the process that's holding them back. So looking firstly at the pain points here, what are the real pain points your customers have? This might take a few stages to get really deep, but that's okay. So let's say they think their current wall covering looks shit, but what's their true pain point? What can you really pinpoint and target there? Probably that it's making their house feel dingy, cheap, and they've always wanted to live somewhere they're truly proud of. But that's not the case right now, which is making them feel pretty gack about themselves. That's their true pain point, not just that it's peeling off the wall and you can fix that. And as I say, this is exactly what you want to target. So how could they, in theory, forgetting about your business, forgetting about your service, how could they, in theory, solve this? The idea with these solutions isn't just to see their pain point and be like, my service can fix this, but instead gives them a way they can solve it more generally with actionable advice that they could implement right there and then. Even if in reality they probably won't do it, it's the actual value that you're giving them that isn't just so salesy and pushy. And this puts your business at the front of their head and makes you much more trustworthy and the obvious choice than just telling them to buy from you. So do not just say that your product or service is the answer. So the idea for that one about them wanting to live somewhere they're truly proud of, your advice could be find a good plaster. It's a big investment, so it's really important that they're good. That looks like you're looking out for them. And get a full room overhaul so you're proud of your home. Don't sell yourself. Just give them the actual advice that they need in that moment. The second one would be for you to tell them to find out what would make them proud of their house. Start researching, take the first steps, or the cracks will end up staying forever. Another one here, we've got the outdated wallpaper might make people feel embarrassed, especially whenever guests come round. Obviously, you'd have to give them correct recommendations, so saying not plaster over it because it'll not bond properly, or whatever the proper terms may be. And then secondly, you could really give them some modern, top-of-the-range plastering examples to sort of show them alternative ideas to their wallpaper, really to inspire them and make them actually act. And because you've given them that information, you're there at the front of their head. Maybe another one here is that they might want to do it themselves, for example. Obviously, you'd recommend not to do this if they want a proper good finish unless they're experienced, and explain why and why they need experience. Maybe their room feels constantly unfinished and it's making them feel shy about themselves. So you want to sort of tell them that they've spent so much on their entire room. It's important to finish the job to create their dream home. Start searching for a good plaster. That sort of advice rather than just saying, I can come, I can do this. Again, you've got loads of other examples there. I'm now looking into fears. So what is holding these people back? They know that they should act and they should get their internal plastering done. But what are the fears that are holding them back? And how can you help reduce these fears from your video? So the first fear and thing that holds people back is price. So you could say something like it increases your property value and can change the overall feel of their room. So it's really that monetary investment isn't a loss. Maybe they're scared of there being disruption in their house. And then you sort of could balance that by saying something like, if they keep putting it off, the wall's not going to fix itself. And most plasterers don't actually need you there if that's in line with your business. So you don't need to lose time off work. And as well, you could mention how long it actually takes you depending on the size of the house, just to show your transparency and build relationship up a little more. As you can see, there's a number of other ones there. So we've got like, they're not sure about what they want. You could recommend them researching, maybe going and looking at plasters' work, as well as your process in helping them come to a final decision on what finish they want, if that's something you offer, of course. And then lastly, we've got post-purchase. This could be something like, what do they do if X happens, or what can they do after regardless? And it shows that you're legit and actually care about them, not just there to take their money and fuck off. And again, you could say things like, if they have any issues, to get back in touch. People think that they can't do that. Really tell stories where people maybe haven't done that in the past, and maybe saying that they have to communicate. If the person's doing it is a good plaster, they should want to revisit. Really things like that to, again, build up your trust and show that you really care about what you're doing. So again, you want to do that for all your products or services with pain points, fears, post-purchase, and really make those the center point while giving value in each of your videos into how they can act in the moment now. Then again, back to these personal or general business content, you can maybe talk about your personal story, as we said before, what people should expect when they work with you. which makes them more prepared, which is obviously good for you if they're going to become a customer, because then they've researched or they've got the house prepped, maybe if that's something that would be relevant to you as a plasterer. As well as that, you want to maybe introduce your staff, maybe talk about some of the tools you use, something you like, something new. As well as that, you could also start creating content that's advice to other less experienced plasterers if you think that would be relevant as well. So from those, that's all the ideation. So if you can fill all those out, you've got 45 ideas there just from your products and services, and then your personal stuff could be going on forever realistically. Of course, if you're a plasterer or you're in the trade, you'll want to be using photos, videos and testimonials as social proof of your services. So you want to plan these and integrate them into part of your content plan. So these should align with the projects that you have going on in that moment. So they should all be organized as well, really. Your May content would want to deal with the projects that you had going on in April. So if this is the case and you're a plasterer or someone on the tools, you really want to show off your work as well as showing your knowledge. So in this case, you'd probably only need like 12 or 15 of the value style content, along with then 5 to 10 real proof of your work and how good you are. You want to do those, as I say, across the first week, then finalize them and put those final ideas back into your content calendar in May. So let's say for the 6th of May here, so the first video is going to be on people feeling embarrassed by their outdated wallpaper. And there you go, that's your first video done. And as I say, you want to put in your testimonials and things in here as well, so that that's all planned out. Now on to week 2, this is where your scripting is going to take place. So I speak with a lot of business owners, and a lot of people really don't seem happy scripting their content out. They think they'll just be able to stick a camera in front of them and talk like crazy. And I actually put a video out about this recently. That's not how it goes at all. If you're really knowledgeable but you have no experience talking in front of a camera, that's not how it's going to work. You're going to end up taking hours and hours and hours, especially if you're filming 15 to 20 pieces at once. So I recommend scripting out everything. Every script's going to have the same structure. You want to have a basic hook, which is to really make them stop. Then you want to get into the real focus of your video and really get people engaged more and more, so they're about to find out the answer. Then you want to have the value and the payoff, which is of course the answer, and that's where you're really garnishing that relationship and trust with them. The first 2 bits are really to pull them in, and then the third bit is your payoff. What do they get for watching your video, if you know what I mean? Whether that's the advice or the push they need or something funny, just whatever the payoff is. And then lastly, we've got your CTA, your call to action. So what are you going to tell them to do next? So let's break this down a little bit more. So in terms of your hook, I would outline 4 main types of hooks that I use for clients and myself. So you've got the negative hook, which is really, I hate this, or this is shit, or do not do this. That sort of negative. Could be an opinion, it could be objective, it couldn't really be anything. The second one is FOMO, so make people feel like they're missing out if they do not watch the next sort of 10 seconds of your video. So maybe something like, oh my god, have you seen this? Or you need to see this. Or if you're getting your house plasters, you need to do this. They feel like they're missing out if they don't watch the rest of your video. Thirdly is the controversial hook. So that again is really going to target people's emotions. So say something that's going to piss people off, or it's going to be against their normal way of thinking. So let's just use the plasterer example again. Controversial take that they might have on the industry. Say something like, this might not get me any more customers, but then their take on a certain product, something like that. Then lastly, we've got intrigue. So say something that your customer or audience will not have a clue what you're talking about within your first line, so that they stay to find out what that is, and that's the payoff there. So intrigue could be, I talk about the 70% rule. Everyone wants to know what the 70% rule is. What is he talking about? Maybe something like, here's how to know if your plaster did a bad job, or here's how to know your plaster is shit. Really garnering that sense of intrigue and pulling people in straight away. And then the second part is really pulling them in with this a little bit more. Maybe you're setting the scene to make them imagine something before then you give them the payoff, which is the value. So this is where the value comes from, where they build that relationship and trust in you. You must provide them with that value there and then. Now this could be, as I say, a really good piece of advice, or send them away to do something, or just make them laugh, or just entertain them in some sense. Your videos can try a whole different cause and see what works best. And then lastly, you've got your call to action. So what should they do next? Should they take the advice that you're given? You can say, now go and start doing your research, something like that. Or it can be related to you. Actually make them take an action. So follow you for more, like the video, comment down below what you think about this, or get in touch if you need your house rendered, for example. A few more things that I want to add in script in here that a lot of people forget about is, and it's why I push people away from ChatGPT, is because you'll be talking, you'll be saying these things. So you want to really include your personality, your style, and your tone within your scripts. So maybe just write out your basic bullet points and then you put your style, your twist on it. Recently, I've started to really bring this into my content. So I'm someone who swears. I was going to say swears like fuck, but I swear all the time. Like, it's really, really bad, to be honest. But I'm just trying to lean into that and be myself on camera and try and be a little bit more relatable and a little bit more, real, just myself. So don't be someone you're not. Don't just regurgitate ChatGPT. Don't just regurgitate what you think sounds good. As well as this, you want to, throughout your videos and every piece of video, try and relate to them as much as you can. So say, I had this fear years ago that I wouldn't get my house plastered right, or I got this done and this happened. Really bring yourself into their current situation. As well as this, try and avoid making your short form videos too long. It's something that is really easily done, to be honest. I used to do it all the time. Just try and keep it really short, as short as you can. You can try some videos over the minute mark, but I've found they don't work. You can try some 10-15 seconds, real quick advice, and some that are maybe 40 seconds is probably as far as I'd go. So now that we've got that, let's jump into the optimal filming process. So I recommend you do all these videos that you scripted out, the 20 videos, in one shoot day. That'll take you 2 to 3 hours max if you follow this process. So I would recommend doing that on a Monday, just at the start of the week. It's done, it's out of the way. And this is exactly what you're going to do. It is not difficult. So what you're going to do is you're going to set up with your front-facing camera and your natural light, if possible. If not, you can use a good light. Make sure it's a white light rather than a lamp or something like that. It just doesn't look good. And as well, if you can get one, use a mic. It just makes you sound a lot better. Have your scripts in front of you, whether it's printed on your phone, your laptop, and you're literally just going to split it up so much that it's sentence by sentence so that it's so easy to repeat. Then you're going to hit record, and on script number 1, get the first line into your head and read it to the camera 3 times perfectly. Then do the same for the second line, the third line, and so on for the entire script. Hit stop on the camera, which will probably take you like 5 minutes. I'm not even joking. It's so quick. And then instantly start it again and jump straight into your second script. Don't be fucking around and thinking you need to do this or go get a drink. Just go one after the other and you will fly through them. And as I say here, just rinse and repeat for all videos each day. So then those are the crux of all your videos done in 2 or 3 hours. Completely finished. I've got here to add in some B-roll as you work. So again, this is really useful for the plaster or someone who's on the tools. So what you want to be doing is setting up your camera, just getting a couple of wee clips throughout the day, maybe 2 or 3 clips every day, if possible, of you doing your work. And you can then just throw those in as B-roll or overlay over the top of your talking videos to make them a lot more engaging and a lot more real life as well. And if the quality isn't perfect on this, don't even sweat it, it's sweet. Next we'll move into the editing workflow. Now this is probably the most time consuming part, I'm going to be honest, which is why I've split it across then 2 weeks to then go live on the 2nd week of May. Again, this is off the 20 videos. In reality, you might not be doing 20 talking heads, so just bear that in mind for these as well. You'll just want to split it across the 2 weeks so it's a lot more manageable and you're doing a little bit every day. Now this workflow that I'm showing you is really, really basic, so it's not going to give you like the best edits in the world. This isn't an editing video, so this is really to just get your videos down to a pretty decent level. So you've got your 20 videos, there's 20 individual recorded videos on your phone, they're saved there. So what you want to do is import your first video, the first raw clip of your entire recording into CapCut, or whatever editing software you want to go for. CapCut's the best if you're doing it on your phone and you're doing it all yourself, in my opinion. Then you're just going to choose the best take of each line. So literally just chop it up. If you're happy with one, cut it, delete, you're on to the next line. Then once you've got every line for that script, remove any pauses and make it super, super snappy so that anyone finds it engaging. You know what everyone's TikTok brain's like? No one wants pauses. No one wants you thinking about what you're talking about. They just want boom, 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 boom. You want to chop it up really, really snappy. Then you want to throw in your B-roll images that you've collected from the last few weeks. As I say, if you can get a couple per video, that's great. And don't worry about reusing them. That's fine. No one's going to remember the little bits of B-roll you use, if you know what I mean. I know it might seem like it when you're editing it, but genuinely, if you have 10 or 15 bits of B-roll, you can split them across all 20 videos easy. Then you just want to throw in your captions. Loads of people watch videos now without any sound, so it is important to have these. You literally just hit auto captions and put them in. Just double check it's all right, because sometimes, especially if you're from Northern Ireland, Scotland, something like that, it doesn't quite hear what you're saying, so you might just need to correct things. And make sure you just have a consistent sort of theme and subtitles set that you're using, because then it'll make people start to recognize you more and more. Just make sure they look good and are in line with your company branding. As well as this, I'd recommend using a framing template. I've got one available. If you comment down below that you want the framing template, I'll get in touch and send it across to you. But yeah, it's really, really good for making sure that your text isn't outside of the screen or under any of the icons or under the description or anything like that. It just keeps your video looking clean and a really good level of quality. Then when you're done, export the video, stick it straight into your drafts for whatever platform you're using, so Instagram, TikTok, both maybe, and then move on to the next video. And then looking back at the plan here, saying 2 videos a day, that will maximum take you an hour. And you can just do it when you're sitting where you'd normally just be scrolling brainlessly on TikTok anyway, because the payoff is going to be worth it so much for you for that 1 hour of TikTok time. Yeah, 2 videos a day would be the aim, and then if you need to squeeze in 3, you can always do that towards the end of the second week. And even now, to be honest, this is the most time consuming part of content creation, and a better option which completely removes this process is to ultimately outsource your videos to an agency, one like mine, who can edit your videos for you and save you a ridiculous amount of time, because then all you're doing is planning, scripting and shooting, and everything else is done for you, and you've got those 20 videos. It also will make your videos a lot more engaging and capture attention a lot better because they'll be edited properly, if that makes sense. But yeah, nothing stopping you from doing it yourself. All your videos are then in your drafts. Then on the Friday before they're due to go out, so what are we at? Friday, that'll be the 4th or 3rd of May, something like that, that final Friday of April. You'll then want to go into your drafts and give each video a description with a few relevant hashtags. There's loads of tools you can use to use hashtags. Just make sure your description's as relevant as possible to your video. And maybe if you're someone who only targets local businesses, stick in your local area. So hashtag Northern Ireland, hashtag business. As you've exported each video and put it in drafts throughout the week, you'll want to delete the original clips from your Photos app first, as they're going to be fucking huge. Those raw clips are going to be massive. Then follow that by backing up your finished versions to cloud like Google Photos or anything, OneDrive. Then delete it from your phone and it's still on the cloud. Also delete it from CapCut, because those CapCut videos take up a lot of storage as well, and your phone will basically start to shit itself if you've got 3 versions of the same video across 3 different apps. So then as soon as those videos are done, you're back to week 1, if that makes sense. So that makes the week of the 6th of May your week 1 for ideation for June. And then week 2 is the following week, and so on and so forth. I outline these in my calendar as well. I have it here, so you can see there. I've got week 1 is week 1, and in week 1 I ideate and plan. Week 2 is scripting, and week 3 is shooting and editing, and so is week 4. So you can see that then by the end of week 4, where you're then editing your final videos, your final week of the month of the block before are just finishing. So it actually works out really, really nicely, and it's really organized. And you do need a system like that if you want to be consistent, of course. And I do understand, to be fair, that this seems like a lot of work, but building out a structure like this and putting in the small increments every single week will ensure you're 100% bang on and consistent with your content in the long run, which makes it so easy for you to nurture potential customers over time, and it'll allow you to smash your sales out of the park very, very quickly, and then actually allow you to scale your business to creating more revenue a month with less work, essentially. So if it's something you don't think you have time for, definitely get someone else to do it for you who knows what they're doing. Get someone who will organize all this for you, plan everything out for you, which is exactly what I do in my agency for my clients. So yeah, if you're interested in my services, of course, get in touch. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this was valuable to you. I hope it wasn't too much. I hope it didn't scare you. And I hope that you can implement it into your work life, because you will see crazy results from it. So yeah, thanks guys, and I'll see you again.